Basketball fans, welcome back. So in the previous video, we've talked about how Trae Young's future with the Atlanta Hawks is uncertain, and things are not looking good for Trae Young with the Atlanta Hawks. But in this video, we'll be talking about the four best destinations for Trae Young in the 2025 offseason. So Trae Young is the current assist leader in the NBA and an offensive engine by himself. I can even say he's a system by himself. But his time is running out in Atlanta, so we're going to look at the four best destinations that Trae Young can end up in and still can establish the success that he had in the 2021 season where he took the Atlanta Hawks to the East Finals. So Trae Young's situation in Atlanta is growing more unstable by the day, despite leading the league in assists and continuing to put up all-star level numbers, which is 24 points and 12 assists per game. Actually, the assist leader this season. So the Hawks have taken a step back, possibly to indicate that they are tanking, and they have done so when they're trading away their best players. So trading away key veterans like DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan Bogdanovic before the deadline only fueled speculation that Atlanta might be preparing for a major reset and Young may not be part of it. So reports have described his future is very uncertain, and I've looked at in the previous video. And given the fact that he has uh, that 136 million left in 3 years on his contracts, you can see that the only possible move is him to get traded. So, and if the Hawks decide to move on, Young will have no shortage of suitors looking for an elite playmaker to take them to the next level. So, Trae Young is by all means somebody who can alter the franchise, and he's somebody who's very impactful, especially at the backcourt. So, with his running contract through 2025-2026, he was set to earn 46 million and a player option for the 2026-2027 season of 49 million. Young isn't necessarily an easy trade piece to move. So the contract is huge, and a lot of teams will look towards matching that type of contract, whether it's cash considerations, a couple of bad contracts that the other teams want to offload, or a couple of expiring contracts, or draft capital, something that goes without saying with such an athlete and such a tied to such a big contract. So Young isn't necessarily an easy trade piece to move. So, but his ability to create offense both for himself and his teammates makes him an attractive target for teams in need for a game-changing point guard. So you can see the Atlanta Hawks are committing on that rebuild, and they're just looking towards cashing out on Trae Young. So because Trae Young doesn't want to be part of it. So if Atlanta decides to hit the reset button, there are four teams that can be on the front line, and we're gonna mention them. So the first team we have on the block is the Orlando Magic. So the Orlando Magic will receive Trae Young, and in return, the Atlanta Hawks receive Jalen Suggs, Jonathan Isaac, 2025 first round pick from Denver, 2027 first round pick from Orlando, and a 2027 second round pick from Boston, and a 2030 second round pick from Milwaukee. So Orlando has been on the verge of something special, and adding Trae Young could be the move that takes them over the top. So the Magic have one of the best young offensive cores in the league, but they still lack a true floor general who can command the offense and elevate their scoring efficiency. So Young, the NBA's assist leader, will slot in perfectly next to Paulo Banchero, who is averaging career highs 24 points, 7 rebounds, and Franz Wagner, who's averaging 25 and 5. So creating a lethal offensive trio that can pick apart defenses in the half court and in transition. So Orlando has already the NBA's first ranked defense with only 106 offensive points per game. So they're actually balling out this season. But Young's playmaking could finally balance their attack and push them into playoff contention. So from Atlanta's perspective, this deal sets them up for a future reset, and it will enable them to get vital assets for their rebuild. So Jalen Suggs is an elite perimeter defender who has taken a major step forward as a two-way guard this season, while Jonathan Isaac, when healthy, remains one of the most impactful defensive players on the wing. So draft picks give Atlanta flexibility, and if Suggs continues to develop as a playmaker, he could take over the Hawks point guard role for the future alongside Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson. So the move will make Atlanta better immediately, but it will prove a strong foundation for a rebuild because right now they're focusing on a rebuild. So a rebuild, you're not contending for now. You're making steps to be able to contend, and you're creating a foundation to contend in the future. So not necessarily you're going to go ahead and win the championship or go to the deeper in the playoffs next season, but you are planning for the next 3, 4, 5 years. So this trade makes too much sense for Orlando if they're serious about winning now. So the Eastern Conference is loaded with top tier talent, and Orlando's defensive personnel could help mask Trae Young's biggest weakness. So Trae Young is not known for defense because of his size and the role that he plays in the offense. So if the Magic want to stop being a team with potential and start becoming a legitimate contender, this is the move to make. And if you look at even the picks that they're getting for the Atlanta Hawks, you can see the Atlanta Hawks are rebuilding, and the Orlando Magic will solve their point guard problems and create a dynamic trio. So that's the first one is Orlando Magic. Then in the second option, you have the Houston Rockets. So I'm not sure about this proposed trade because I'm not sure if the Houston Rockets can pull it off. This, given the fact that they have been an upward trajectory in terms of success. So the Houston Rockets received Trae Young, and the Atlanta Hawks received Jabari Smith Jr., Dylan Brooks, Reed Shepard, a 2025 first round pick from Houston, and a 2027 first round pick from Phoenix. So I'm not sure if this trade is going to happen. I don't think the Rockets are going to pull the trigger because this core has brought so much success to the Rockets. So the Rockets have been aggressive in their rebuild, spending big in free agency and drafting both talent and fit. So adding Trae Young will accelerate their timeline even further, giving them the most dynamic offensive weapons in the league. So Ime Udoka has built the Houston Rockets to be a top tier defensive squad. While Trae Young isn't known for defense, his offensive impact will more than make up for it. So pairing him alongside Jalen Green, who is averaging 21 points, and April Shengun, 19 points, who's averaging 19 points and 10 rebounds, will create an offense with unlimited playmaking and shot creation potential. So you can see this package where the Atlanta Hawks are sending away Dylan Brooks, Reed Shepard, Jabari Smith Jr. These are key rotation players for the Houston Rockets. So these guys are the ones who have been able to forge that identity. So the biggest concern will be how can they be able to hide Trae Young's defensive woes because he's no more of offense. So yeah, this is what it is. So this deal will hurt Houston's depth. So, but Jabari Smith Jr. has been inconsistent, and Dylan Brooks, while a defensive menace, might not be worth a new long-term contract for a team trying to become a true contender. So you can see when Dylan Brooks, he had that good career outing when he in 2023 when he made an all-defensive second team. A lot of teams in the league thought that this guy can be a very good defensive anchor, but I feel like the Houston Rockets are kind of regretting that deal, and I don't think they're gonna give him a direct extension because he signed a deal that was worth like 85, 90 million there. So they're not gonna, extend him like that because they have seen what he can be able to offer on defense, and they're not liking it. Despite the success of the Houston Rockets, he's just more than a key rotation player. I don't think people really hear more of Dylan Brooks because of what he did in the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, in 1 year, this man just ruined his whole reputation, and I don't think teams are going to touch him like that. Given like his productivity now, he's far removed from the defensive guy that he was in the Memphis Grizzlies. So it is what it is. So Reed Shepard is an intriguing prospect, but if the Rockets can get a proven all-star like Young, they really have to seriously consider it. So the addition of Phoenix's 2027 first round pick will also give Atlanta another valuable draft asset, which could be used to move up in a future draft or land another foundational piece for them. So for Houston, it's about star power. The Western Conference is brutally competitive, and with the Rockets having shown flashes of brilliance, they still lack a true leader who can control the game in crunch time, which is something that Trae Young is good. Every time I see him shooting a three, just Trae away. So that's I love watching Trae Young, especially knock down those deep threes. So kind of reminds me of Stephen Curry. But hey, it is what it is. So Young will give them exactly that. A clutch performer who has experience carrying an offense deep into the playoffs. With Houston's If Houston believes their young core is ready to take the next step, Young could be a player who helps them break through. and enables them to go ahead and challenge a team like the OKC. Because right now, you can see OKC being led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They're not giving anyone in the West any breaks. So for the Houston Rockets, I mean, this is a huge gamble. We are not sure if Trae Young is going to go ahead and be the same player, but it's a gamble on this one. So next up, we have the Miami Heat. So I mentioned the Miami Heat in a previous video, and right now they're I can say they're not the same, especially with the whole Jimmy Butler sweepstakes leading him to get traded to the Golden State Warriors. It's tough. It's tough. So Miami Heat, they proposed trade. They received Trae Young, and the Atlanta Hawks received Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson in a sign-in trade, Jimmy Jackets Jr., a 2025 first-round pick coming from the Warriors, and a 2029 first-round pick coming from Miami, which is their own draft pick. So if there's any team that screams Trae Young fit, it's the Miami Heat. So Young has spent years tormenting opponents with his relentless offensive skill set, and Miami could use another dynamic scorer and playmaker to complement Tyler Hero's 24 points and Bama Adebayo's 18 points and 10 rebounds per game. So Kyle Lowry's departure had left a hole at the point guard position over the last few seasons, and while Tyler Hero has filled some of the scoring void, he's not the primary ball handler that a team like the Miami Heat needs. So Young will instantly become the team's offensive engine, and he can be able to forge the identity of this team. So for Atlanta, this deal will be about retooling on the fly. Andrew Wiggins hasn't been the same player since he won that 2022 championship, but he still provides solid two-way production and could thrive in a bigger offensive role. So Duncan Robinson, acquired in a sign-and trade, will give Atlanta another elite shooter, and Jamie Jackets Jr. has already proven to be one of the best young role players in the NBA. So the two first-round picks are significant as well. So Golden State's 2025 first-round pick could land in a great spot if the Warriors decline, while Miami Heat's 2029 pick could be valuable in the post-Butler era. So you can see both teams are going to get what they need. The Hawks are going to be able to start their rebuild and have solid role players, and the Heat get somebody who can be able to take over the point guard load. So the Heat have always been a team that thrives with stars who have something to prove, and Young fits the mold perfectly. As good as Hero and Adebayo are, the Heat need more to compete, and Young could fill the all-star void left with the departure of Jimmy Butler. So you can see with Jimmy Butler's departure, it left a huge hole in the offense, and that star power, that thing that made the Miami Heat scary, could be filled by Trae Young. So that's the proposition. That's the proposed deal. So could we see the Miami Heat pull a trigger on that? Maybe in the off season, because that's the only time where this type of trades happen. So this is what it is. So we have the Sacramento Kings next. So the Sacramento Kings received Trae Young, and the Atlanta Hawks receive DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, Devin Carter, 2025 second round pick from Chicago, and the 2027 second round pick coming from Sacramento. So Sacramento has been knocking on the door of the Western Conference Elite, but they need one more piece that could truly break through. So De'Aaron Fox is gone, leaving Domantas Sabonis to figure out with Zach LaVine and Keegan Murray next to him. So, however, adding Trae Young could give the Kings an unstoppable offensive core. So Young's ability to run the pick and roll with Sabonis would be a nightmare for defenses, and his deep shooting range would create even more space for LaVine to attack. So if Sacramento want him now, this move will signal that they are all in to go ahead and compete in the playoffs. So for Atlanta, this deal provides immediate help and future assets, especially with DeMar DeRozan acquired in free agency by the Kings, will give the Hawks a steady veteran presence who can still score at a high level. Then we have Malik Monk, who has blossomed into becoming one of the best six men in the NBA. Devin Carter is a promising young guard with strong defensive instincts. So the picks aren't huge, but they add flexibility for future moves. So this package doesn't offer a direct star replacement for Young, but it gives Atlanta multiple pieces to stay competitive while reshaping its identity. So the Kings have to be patient with their rebuild, but at some point they need to put all their chips in. So the Western Conference is stacked with elite teams, and with Sacramento doing what they did in 2023 and proving that they belong in the playoff picture, you still need another elite talent to be able to go ahead and make deep playoff runs moving forward. So those are the 4 teams that could possibly trade for Trae Young. We've seen the Orlando Magic with that offer, which is something that I feel like the Orlando Magic can be able to gain so much on that one. I don't know if they're going to put Jalen Suggs like that on that deal, but it's something that if they really want to get a guy like Trae Young, they really need to put all their chips in. Also, the Houston Rockets. I feel like Dylan Brooks is somebody that they thought that could be a defensive guy who can be able to even make an all-defensive team with Houston, but he's just proven to be one of those guys who's just a role player, and he's far removed from the guy that we saw with Memphis. Then for the Miami Heat, I know it's going to be a difficult one, especially moving away from Duncan Robinson, who has been on the Heat his whole life, and also Andrew Wiggins. When moving away from Andrew Wiggins, especially after using him, getting him in the return for Jimmy Butler, it's gonna be a tough one for the Heat. Then the Sacramento Kings. I don't know about the Sacramento. I don't know if the Sacramento Kings will give away Malik Monk because the man has been solid this season. Even the previous season, DeMar DeRozan, veteran presence, their experience, and yeah, I mean, these are the deals. So do drop me your comments down in the comment section down below. Do you think these 4 teams got it right? Sacramento, Miami, Houston, and Orlando. Do you think these guys could be able to get a good haul? These other teams could be able to get a good haul, or the Atlanta Hawks get a good haul, or they are getting, or the other teams getting a Trae Young will make them be a good title contender. Do drop me a comment down in the comment section down below. So, like, share, subscribe to the channel. This video has been long, but hey, it is what it is. So, I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace out.